Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Books at the Bottom of the Stairs. My name's Lorene. I'm going to bring to you something a little bit different. I have one Christmas book to show you and some knitting and sewing books that this is the other part of my hobbies besides reading and wanting to talk about them is knitting and sewing. So I just recently received a new one. I'm excited about it, so I thought I'd share for those of you who also share those interests. So before I go to those, I picked this one up at the local magazine store. Atlantic News has it's a store that's devoted entirely to magazines, and they've got this great device where if it's a Canadian magazine, they've got a little red maple leaf kind of stuck in one of them, so you can, if you want to just track Canadian magazines, you can just go through the whole store and you can see them. And they've got things like model trains, classic trains, different kind of war stuff, all the sort of good housekeeping, house designy things, weird things like organic chickens, and it's just really a fabulous magazine store. So one of the things I do every Christmas is I help out a friend who's a friend of a social worker, and we help out a few families that are in particular straits. And this year there are two 19-year-old guys, and what are you going to get a couple of 19-year-old guys if all you know is they're 19, male and 19. So I was looking at things like National Geographic and Sports Illustrated, and I thought, nope, this one is full of just goofy Christmas things from past issues of Mad Magazine, and some of them are classic oldies, some of them are slightly new, and I thought this would be a great stocking stuffer. We're giving them things like certificates for the drugstore and bus tickets, that kind of deal. So the first thing that came into my hands several years ago, it started the journey, is a shirt making workbook, and it is by David Page Coffin. It's pattern, design, and construction resources specifically to men's shirts. And I love this book. None of the men in my life, I'll go, oh, look at this cool collar, and they go, no, I just want the one I like. And so all these really cool things are just not an opportunity for me. I don't have anyone in my life who would like a stand-up mandarin collar, or they've got other ones that kind of crisscross, or we've got the yoke type things and rounded edges. And now my guys have exactly two shirt designs that they want over and over. This also does cuff work, which is kind of fun, and my guys, again, it's like, just give me a cuff. And so I have not been able to enjoy making things from this book as much as I would like. But my daughter's boyfriend was here a few weeks back. I'm sure I was talking about it. And he's a big fellow, a strongman, weight competitor. And he's got very big shoulders at the back. But when he flexes his muscles, everything just kind of grows and then comes back. And it's the same across the front chest. So his sort of upper rib shoulder piece was like 1,000,000 times bigger than the rest of everything else. So we ended up using some of the techniques in this book to arrive at a very nice shirt pattern for him, and we can keep on using it unless his body changes shape, in which case, forget it, he's on his own. Anyhow, using this one reminded me that David Page Coffin is sort of the guru of making men's clothing. So I just happened to check him out, and sure enough, he's got one, Sewing Shirts with a Perfect Fit, the ultimate guide to fit, style, and construction from collared and cuffed to blouses and tunics. So this just came in the door a few minutes ago. I'm very excited about it, and it contains a little envelope with pattern tools, and I think what they are, they're the more complex curves that you need for fitting the arm heads, or people's backs are rarely straight up and down, so some people's backs have a bit of a curve, or some of them are more, I don't know, like they're more kind of upright and backish, so that they have a bit of a sway like this, and then a lot of people tend to sit like this, so you get weird things happening at the front of the shirt. And so this is how you can what are you going to do? It's not fitting patterns, it's not pattern fitting solutions, it's how to get yourself a pattern in the first place that you then don't have to make all those adjustments to. So for instance, I tend to have a big chest and fairly small in the shoulders and the back, but yeah, the chest keeps getting in the way, and I'll make these things and I love them until I wear them and then think, oh dear, here we go again. Anyhow, this I'm really looking forward to. There's lots of very cool ideas in here, how to hide darts in the seams and put darts in different places. And so I'm hoping that by the spring, I'll have worked my way through a couple of issues, and I will be able to report back on how thorough this book is. And I need to try and talk to a friend of mine who's always said, oh, I wish you would sew for me. So it'd be fun to experiment on her body. And with that, I remembered that this is not a knitting channel, but I do love to knit. And a couple, maybe 10 days ago, we had to go up to the camp. We were having a bunch of trees taken down, dead trees that had fallen amongst themselves. And it was just too much for us to handle. So while we were waiting for things to happen, we popped into a nearby town that has a great knitting store. And I like to buy my sock knitting yarn there. So I have a different kind of stash gathering. This is a beautiful purple knit, 100% wool. I'm looking forward to doing that for myself. This one is what's called an Uber ball. So you knit along for a little while, and then it switches out to the blue, and then it switches out to the black, and so forth. You never really know when and where it's going to change. So each sock is a little bit different, but it doesn't make those stripes. It makes more color blending. So that's a different kind of fun. And then I have a pair of, I don't know if you can see it, I've got these turquoise socks, but they're too small and they got a big hole in them. So I managed to find some turquoise so that I can make another pair of those. And Steve said, surprise me with something. So I found this colorway, golds and purples and greens. And yeah, who knows what that's going to look like, because usually they do little swatches so you can get a sense of what the fabric, the knitted fabric will look like. Well, what I also, I guess part of my reason for going into that store in the first place is I had an idea that I wanted to, in January and February, knit some complicated color items. And I haven't been able to make up my mind about what color I really want to work through, and what garment do I want, and I don't want another tam. Anyhow, I thought, well, why don't I just get a bunch of different colored sock yarns and work through a couple of patterns in this book. This book is by Bordhi, who has since passed away just recently. And this book, I think I've had this for a little while. It was published in 207. What is that? 2007. Anyhow, she was a mathematician, and these socks are made so different. They're these mathematical contortions that instead of having a typical heel in a sock, you might have your sock has to go down your ankle and then around and over your heel and out to your toe, but you're pulling it up so that it has to go over your toe and your heel before you can get it up to your shin. So you need to have this kind of narrow mathematical situation happening. So she went to a bunch of different shoe museums and looked at indigenous shoes from all over the world to see how things like moccasins or rope sandals and so forth were made, and through that, and through the use of increasing and decreasing stitches, she came up with all these really interesting approaches to creating a sock shape. And they require a lot of attention. It's not my typical one. I have the pattern memorized, and that's what these turquoise ones will be. They will be my don't have to think about it socks. But these other three colors, I am going to try and knit at least 3 of these different patterns, and I don't even know which ones yet. There's one that's really cool that has the increases and decreases spiral down the foot. I don't know. Anyways, it's going to be a real mental challenge, and I think I could use that for January, because based on December. Like, I'm bored of being bored. There was an article in The Guardian about how people are now bored of being bored, and I agree. I've pretty much caught up on all of my chores, pretty much caught up on all of my things that you just don't want to do, you've been putting off for a million years. I have had a little pile of silver jewelry sitting around in a little hidden sock somewhere for over 2 years. I think I'm going to have to polish my jewelry. That's how bored I am. So I thought this sort of a project would do to help alleviate some of that. And in our province, we get a lot of freeze thaws. You can wake up in the morning and everything's, you know, beautifully snowy. Somewhere around 10:30, it's going to rain. Then around 2 o'clock, it's all dry. It's pretty again. And by 3:30, as the clouds come over the sun, you can almost guarantee that the sun is going to disappear by 3 o'clock, and it all freezes back up again. But it has reconstituted itself, so sidewalks they're treacherous. They're really miserable things to walk on. They've all been, you know, cleared, and we now have, the city now brings in sidewalk snowplows. God bless them, they don't know what they're doing, but we do have clearer sidewalks. But that freeze-thaw cycle just makes it really impossible to do any walking. You sort of have to walk, I don't know, you sort of have to walk between 10 in the morning and 12 noon to be safe, and be back inside by 3 o'clock, really. And with the gyms closing, I do have a gym membership, but I don't really use it for walking, but maybe I'm going to have to. We'll see when they open up, when and if. So when and if COVID, I don't know. There's the talk about vaccines in our country soon. I don't know where they'll start, and frankly, we're not at the top of the list. We are a little bit older, and we're a little bit with underlying health issues, but we for sure are not high risk people at all. We're not frontline workers, and so we will be pretty much at the bottom of the list for getting it, and rightly so. So therefore we will still be in limited contact with people. Although people, if they've got vaccinations and they're doing good, they can always come and party here. I'm getting ready for a party, gang. So that's it for me. I'm pretty sure next week I'll be bringing you about 4 different books from different book clubs and have a nice chat. And then I'm thinking I might do a bit of a ponderation on what this channel has been for the last year. I haven't done 12 months worth of videos, but close. And I just like to think about what I'm going to do for the New Year's, but not New Year's resolution. Forget that. The only thing I resolve to do is to just get a better scotch. That's my New Year's resolution. So I hope all your reading dreams and adventures continue to come true, and I'll see you next week. Thank you for coming. Bye-bye.